The Hang Seng Index closing almost 4% higher today after Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam says she will withdraw a controversial extradition bill that has ignited months of violent clashes between police and demonstrators. Let's watch.
The government will formally withdraw the bill in order to fully allay public concerns. Our foremost priority now is to end violence, to safeguard the rule of law, and to restore order and safety in society. As such, the government has to strictly enforce the law against all violent and illegal acts.
All right, there you go. So joining us now for more insight is Heritage Foundation Director and former Foreign Policy Advisor under Margaret Thatcher, Nile Gardiner. Nile, just want to get your take on what we just heard there. Obviously, a lot of people have been watching this, weeks of protests. What do you make of the change there?
Well, very positive development, certainly in Hong Kong. And this is a very big move here by the Chief Executive, Carrie Lam. And I think that certainly it's a move in the right direction. I'm not sure, though, whether this is going to, end the protests. I think that the protesters have far more demands than simply just withdrawing the extradition bill. They have wide-ranging concerns here, and also they would like to see a full independent inquiry into the Hong Kong police handling of the protests and the demonstrations, which have resulted in a large number of beatings of protesters by Hong Kong police. And so I expect that you're going to see continuing protests, but certainly this is a very welcome move by the chief executive of Hong Kong, and hopefully there will be further concessions made by the government there. And this is also a bold move, considering that, in a way, this is a slap in the face for Beijing. And I imagine that this is going to cause some tensions here between Hong Kong and Beijing. So certainly it's a bold move by the chief executive. It's the right move. And I think that it's important the international community, the free world, maintains the pressure on China over Hong Kong. China has to abide by the 1984 treaty signed between Beijing and London, which ensures that Hong Kong will be a free society, in effect, for at least 50 years. And we need to see China respecting that international treaty signed between the Chinese and the British governments.
Now, you're saying this is a slap in the face for China, but at the same time, isn't this a win for China? Because then what the protesters really want is free elections. So if they're giving them this tiny concession, doesn't that help them avoid the bigger issue?
Well, I think it's a sizable concession, certainly here. And after all, all of the initial protests were about the extradition bill, but more needs to be done here. And I do think this is a major step, certainly by the Hong Kong administration. And I would hope that further concessions will be made to the protesters here. The protesters are fighting for their freedom, for the freedom of the people of Hong Kong. And I do think this is a very big step here. And this could be possibly the start of more concessions to come. Let's wait and see what happens here. But certainly this is a welcome move. But let's not underestimate, of course, the resolve of Beijing to try and prevent or suppress the freedom of the people of Hong Kong. We must be on our guard here, and we must give our full support to those in Hong Kong who are fighting literally for their own freedom and sovereignty.
Yeah, and at the very least, I mean, as we're talking about, at least winning that one concession today, but we'll see if protests continue since this has dragged on for so long.